Well, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome back again. Here I am, Christine, Mercury, Blossom, Being, Love Evolve Energy on day 16, as you can see on the ticker tape below. Day 16 of 108 days of meditation and creative flow, co creative flow. So, what I was doing was coming up every day, once a day. Soon after, I meditate or do some kind of creative project and give an accountability report on some of the insights gleaned and what's going on and the chaos that is. We're still living through tower card times. So it is a new podcast, Tower Card Times. Hopefully short lived. Anyway, so I was getting a little too tight around going every single day, every single day, and decided that maybe not be the best use of my time and the best way to do things. I mean, we're all happy about creativity and accountability and shareability, et cetera, et cetera. And I needed to not get so hard-nosed about it. And so here I am back on day 16. I think the last I came up was day 11. So it's been a chunk. If you want to hang out for a bit, if this interests you, hang out for a bit uh, and listen to my stuff and have a little chat with me, hang out. We'll only go about half an hour. If there's a crowd that gathers and there's conversations or insights or things that need to happen, I'll relax and get really authentic and real about that kind of stuff. So hang out, take just a tiny break. Hi, we're back again. I have a new book coming out. A new book. Actually, it would be my second book, if I have to be quite honest. The other one was, just not really, it wasn't broadly published, but it had to do with my graduate thesis in Kundalini coursing through the body and what should be gleaned from a body based meditation project where you're evolving yourself and how far a body based discipline can take you through that. And when you have to drop that and keep moving. And there, within Buddhism, you get awareness of mind. And so there you are. So let's unpack a bit. It's interesting here, being here like this, because of some of my contexts, because of a host of other things, really being real and really being authentic requires a little bit of I have a host of words occurring to me. Chutzpah, vulnerability for sure, not caring. And there's something about that, because we all have kind of pet peeves, and some of what's been coming up over this last week, it's been really challenging being in my sits because there's a war, internal war going on. And when I sit back and listen, that's what I'm paying attention to, my now moment. It's not the only thing. If you've been here before, you've seen that, or heard me say that, but it is a thing. It is a thing that's arising. Uh, there's something about allowing yourself to be vulnerable in a public forum like this that leaves you open to yeah, assessment, critique, criticism, judgment, whether it's positive or negative. Uh, and it opens a door to this thing that comes to me quite often. Uh, maybe it won't anymore, or maybe it will continue to, and it won't bother me anymore. But when I express myself fully in a vulnerable way, and there's a thread of doubt or darkness, and that has a lot been coming up for me these days. There's a whole interesting range of responses that come up, and in order that aren't comfortable for me, that tend to trigger me. And so that alters my behavior. And so I do not always share all the deep dark or the deep vulnerabilities so as not to leave myself open for that kind of response. So this is true in many situations. It's particularly true, and I notice it in these situations where somehow that's taken when I'm in ownership of weakness, so that's something that could be perceived as a weakness by somebody else potentially. Or there's, I'm at a particular place in my belief about it or thought stream about it. Um, it can seem as though I'm stepping down from my own authority. And so others see that as an opportunity to step up into their own authority and to begin to counsel me when I'm not really open or asking for that. So that whole thing that I'm describing leads to it's a pattern for me, and that it's what I'm sitting with this kind of stuff these days. Not so specifically, but I'll unpack that in a minute. Um, it leads to a kind of hardness, a hard arrogance as a defense in how I express, so that I do not leave myself open to um, some a power dynamic. Uh, so I can unpack this more. It also leads to a resistance, not a resilience. I want to be clear here. It's not resilience, a resistance to other compassions that could be coming my way. So, for sure, some of this is part of my upbringing. So, that is what it is. And to not wallow in the shadow work and the darkness of it, to what's important is the repair, the resolution, the solution. And what we do, hopefully, what I want to inspire others to do, it's what I am making efforts and tasks, uh, goals towards when it's a difficult sit or a difficult time. The effort, the task of moving into that darkness with your light, with a knowing that there is wisdom here. There is a pearl of wisdom somewhere in this trauma. There's a pearl of wisdom. And I was reflecting on this based on somebody else's teaching this morning that a new friend of mine, who I'm doing a painting, she's one of my guides through a mentorship I'm doing with being able to do painting and healing, spiritual expression that I'll talk about some other time, I'm sure. Um, so what she was talking about and what I started to take on and really reflect on was these pearls of wisdom. I believe that she pulled an oracle card that talked about this from the hard memories. And if you're like most of us living on the planet right now, over the last couple of weeks, and this may continue for starting to peter out, but still bubbling up, these old memories from the basement of your mind and your psyche that they're coming up so they can move out of your system, but come up they will. So to sublimate and push them back down, perhaps um, not helpful, not a movement to the next. To simply be with them and wallow in them and engage in them, also not helpful. But to somehow get a bird's eye view, as impossible as it seems at times, and it may be not every moment, or it may take a couple of hours, minutes, hours, or days to be able to zoom out on that which is challenging and arising for you in your meditation, in your day. And from this zoom out place, like a hawk, like an osprey, begin to see where the pearls may lie. And yea, yeah, it may simply be the pearl of wisdom that comes with survival, surviving. This I survived, and yet this too I am able to survive. I have some challenges around that flavor of pearl of wisdom, that we have to be really careful with that, and to not, for me or for anybody else, to not hook our claws, our talons into the pearl of survival as an identity with wounding. You have to drop the story of the wounding around that pearl of wisdom of survival and begin to take up that pearl out of the muck and turn it into resilience. Resilience and a kind of bounce. It's taken me all week to get here. That's interesting that I haven't been talking about it, because it is a deeply vulnerable place when you're in major, where I've been, in major questioning, in doubt about what I am offering. I believe that it has value. I believe in this innate valuability. There's another twist to that, which is a worth. And then taking it a couple of steps out with the worth and exchanges of worth and value. And it gets, as you can see my languaging, it gets a little convoluted and twisty, turny, and confusing, which leads to overwhelm, which leads to this kind of uh, collapse and defeat. And so I've been staring love in the face, watching when it shows up like this, trying to show me again and again, and in the process disfiguring me. So it's taken me a bit. I've been listening to some, along with my meditation practice. It's an hour plus a day, and it has been at least an hour. Uh, Formally, usually about 50 to 55 minutes, and then peppered throughout, and before I sleep, another chunk. So total an hour. When I can get a full hour like I did this morning, a full hour of formal sitting practice, that's where the real gold is. There are times when it doesn't seem like that during. The gold is accrued and accumulated over time. There are some sits that are simply like this morning's. Uh, Technically, it was this afternoon. It was just a slog to get through. Density, et cetera, et cetera. And that seems there can be a defeatist, easy lean into defeatism with that. It's important to remember. And what I have been trying to remind myself of is that the healing is in the resilience, the capacity to bear witness to the slog. It may feel like to me nothing has happened, but it's those sits oftentimes that the most has happened. We want everything to be freedom and release and poof, little explosions of bliss. There's a time, place, and season for that, for sure. And there's a time, place, and season for the other stuff. And right now, for me, it's the other stuff, and so be it. I have faith that there's a healing in it when I don't succumb to it and sink down with it, when I can be with it. Here's the interesting thing, too. When you up your practice, and I have been because I've been creating more, I've been sitting more with greater consistency, I have to start bringing my creativity in here and showing you my paintings and my drawings and maybe some of the movement as well. That in itself, all those things I've described and the point of this 108 days here for me, it it dredges things up. It starts moving, the flow starts moving, things start moving. And with that flow comes little nuggets. And so your surfboard of equanimity is there to assist you or your raft of equanimity to assist you riding the rough river waters full of mud and muck, and to be with them, to be present with them. So that's what it's been like. Uh, Good practice, really good practice. Uh, Simple, but not easy. Good, simple, challenging in terms of my pearl of wisdom of resilience and survivability and the challenge of my ego to unstick itself from the stories that once were, because those stories are no longer true. So the unsticking process. Hey, Claire, good to see you. I'm about to close down. I've been chatting for a little bit, uh, but go ahead and replay. There's some gems there, I believe, for some pearls. Theme has been pearls. So that's what I have for everybody today. You keep moving through it. You keep doing it through faith and trust. Thanks, Mama. Keep your beloved cronies close, people. We got this. I will catch on the flip. I will be here tomorrow, and I'll report again probably in the early part of the day. My offerings, if you end up going to my website, and I've chosen not to post that stuff on these things here because I really wanted to keep this kind of clean to keep it more of a vlog, journaling, verbal journaling. Um, so I haven't put some of my other things. There'll be a time, which I often do every winter, where I shut down my offerings, my programming, and then I will offer up again uh, seasonally. So I'll be open through, I think, mid-November is when I usually start to slow down and shut down. And then I open up again. January, we will probably do some exciting stuff, exploration around how do you know what you want? How do you know your desires? And a little bit of a deep dive, I hope, around then. And we have some book clubs coming up. So that all of that being said, if you do want some sessions, I'm going to keep my offerings as they are for right now for another 2 weeks, I guess, until sometime in November. All the prices will be the same, and then all of that will shift. There'll be a little bit of tabula rasa, and that will shift for a couple of months. So get your stuff now. And I'll catch you on the flip tomorrow, and we'll talk about other stuff tomorrow. Thank you, Claire, for showing up. Thanks, replay watchers, for en- engaging with yourself. Hopefully, this inspires you to take up your own challenging, somewhat challenging practice that could potentially change your life for a period of time, 108 days. All right. I'll catch you on the flip. Love.